welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight on this hot and muggy night. Hopefully the air is turned on here and you have air at home. And hopefully you had a good 4th of July, celebrate our freedom in this great country. So I think we're all proud to be American. I know I am. Moving forward here, we have our roll call tonight. Everyone's present except John Daniel. He's in North Carolina in business tonight. He did call. And then we have before us next on the agenda the approval of the agenda. We have any additions or deletions at this time?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to add under new business, item 7B, number 1, Salem Community Events Fireworks revision dates.
So noted. Anything else? Okay, as the agenda's been presented, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going down for public comment. Yes.
Gary, it's to my understanding that you had a little altercation at Home Depot, and you ended up pulling a PPO on a resident. Could you elaborate on that a little bit? What happened?
Really?
Well, let's get to the point.
Really?
No.
You serious?
Go ahead, Gary.
Hold on just a minute. Let me, I control personal, it's not. Mr. Clayton,
Hey,
you
it
have
is
a comment on it?
when
Hold on a minute.
When the
Hold on a minute.
township's paying for it, right?
Hold on a minute.
There was an incident, an altercation involving the supervisor at Home Depot because threats were made against the supervisor, and it was a physical altercation with threats being made against him and his family. My office did obtain a personal protection order to protect the supervisor. The court ordered that individual not come anywhere near the supervisor, his home, his family, or township hall. And that's basically the long and short of it.
All right. Bonnie.
Okay,
He's
I
an
have a
answer on his
question.
own.
A few months ago, you gave the fire chief, Jim Rockwell, the money, insurance money, the deductible, and you said that was because the fireman got it in their contract, you thought he should have it. That's basically what you said. Okay, I have a new question. Last month, you got a group out here to do physicals for all the firemen. Does the chief have to take the physical too? If he wants what they get, he should do what they get.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah. I have some evidence here for you that's dropped off of a truck on Napier Road in the grass area over by the historical building. It was about 3 foot in off of Napier Road, on the grass at 6 Mile and Napier, on Napier. If somebody was going by or mowing the grass, they would have been killed with that. I do not know why you continue to let the trucks come down our road and drop this stuff off in residential areas where it could kill somebody. May it be you on the board or your family next that it falls on, because we are tired of it as the residents out there trying to weed whack and mow and keep our properties up, ride bicycles, walk down the road, horseback ride, with this kind of stuff coming on. But we should take a drive down the road and see the garbage that's there. We have drywall, we have plastic. If you go alongside the dump, there is all kinds of rocks that are this big around. They're not quite that big. That came off of a concrete truck. And we were told that they don't have to be covered if it's heavy enough not to fall off. The trucks do not have to be covered hauling that. Well, that obviously was not heavy enough not to fall off, and that could kill somebody. And I'd like to know on your comments from last meeting that you said, that Gary Whitaker said, that there wasn't anything planned on the dump, that the committee and the MDEQ are in preliminary stages and are only just beginning. Okay, if there's no plan, why are we meeting for meetings? Why are you wasting your time? Why are they? Question.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
No answer?
I will address, I have supervisor's comments next.
Okay.
Mark?
little less contentious. I noticed Plymouth Township have on their front of their website a lot of the documentation that we get. For instance, the Salem Springs NDEQ revised application is on the front page of the website. What I would like to see is those documents on the front page of our website, because I think they're applicable to a lot of residents who don't necessarily get the communication because they're not immediately adjacent to the area in question.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, if not, moving on to the consent agenda. Sir Wenzel.
Supervisor, I have a few errors to correct before I actually make the motion. On the minutes of the June 14th regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, it needs to read that, item 6 needs to read that David Trent and Reggie DeLuca both voted no to that, and I put approved unanimously, so we need to change that to 5-2. And then also on the payroll, which is disbursements, B3, it needs to read $57,360.06, and Paycor needs to say $290.46. So those are some changes. So now I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. The minutes of the meeting, June 14th, 2016, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. The disbursements for June of 2016 out of the general fund. May check roster, the June check roster, $99,808.73. Checks 26,118 through 26,185. Escrow fund, $5,355. These are checks 1649 through 1655. The payroll, $57,360.06. Paycor, $290.46. Out of the sewer fund, we had $39,837.73. That's checks 1979 through 1982. So now for the invoices for the month of July, we have out of the general fund $111,417.48. The sewer fund, $6,364.11. And escrow invoices of $49,619.90. Wait a second.
Do we have a second?
Mr. Supervisor, I will second the motion.
Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to move that we remove item C3, escrow, for July invoices in the amount of $29,619.90. And add it as a new business item 7C, financial, number 1.
Okay, further discussion on that?
I support that motion.
Support that? Dale Converse? Any discussion, further discussion on this?
Mr. Supervisor, if I can just ask Mr. Wensler just to clarify on the Paycor. Is one of those a credit? Do we really
So there are,
have $290 being extracted this month?
yes, there were three payrolls this month, which is just, normally we have 2 payrolls. One of the payrolls has firemen and the office and administrative staff on one. But this particular month, they both could not be done in the afternoon, so they get pushed to the next day, which caused a third administrative fee to be added and included in that. So there were, if you want to say, there was 2 pay dates, but 3 independent payrolls processed for that month, which is why there was an extra amount in there. Now back to the escrow invoice. There, if we're talking about possibly looking at Showstack's escrow, there's a few in there that have nothing to do with the Showstack escrow account. If you see them on the list.
First, I'd like to also make a comment that in going over this, I checked the available funds in the escrow account, and we cannot $49,000. Doesn't have money in the bank, so I'm going to suggest that we withhold all of the Showstack invoices and pay those, and the money comes back in. So we cannot take money from the general and pay for that.
We can, confirm the amount and all that good stuff in that separate business item.
We can do that, but the bottom line is there's insufficient funds there to cover the check, so I can't approve it if there's not funds.
So on the table still is removing the whole line item of escrow and taking it off the consent agenda.
If we can cover the payment of the residents in the second motion down below.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed.
Is that the amendment? Because you had a motion and then effectively added an amendment to it.
Supervisor, I think you just voted on the amendment to remove the business item, you still have to vote on it.
The main motion.
Yeah, you got-
All right.
Yeah, so Trent made the motion to remove the escrow, and now we can make the motion, or now we can vote on approving the consent agenda.
Okay. All right. All those in favor, you made the motion, Mr. Hensley?
Yes.
All right, you have a second?
And
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Okay, down to business items. Planning and zoning, Mr. Winsley?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township amend the official zoning map of Salem Township incorporated into the Salem Township zoning ordinance by section 1.03. It's hereby amended pursuant to MCL 125.3405 to rezone parcel number A0102500035 from the public, semi-public PSP back to the agricultural residential as recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on June 20th, 2016. Included in this motion is the unapproved minutes of last month's Planning Commission meeting, the application from the church, Our Savior Lutheran Church, and also the review by the planner, as well as the ordinance that corresponds with this. Do I have a second? And then we can discuss. discuss it if needed.
I'll second.
TJ seconds, any further discussion? I think all of you aware of this proposal by the church there at Prairie and Amon. Okay, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed. Moving right along, down to the adopted updated zoning map. Mr. Wenzel.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township adopt this updated official zoning map of Salem Township, which is file number 16-003. It's incorporated into the Salem Township zoning ordinance by section 1.03, and it's hereby adopted pursuant to MCL 125.3405 as recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on June 20th, 2016. Also included are the unapproved minutes of last month's Planning Commission meeting, the copy of the proposed official zoning map, which you all have, and I think there's extra copies back there if anybody needs to see it. And also recommendation by the Planning Commission as well as the corresponding ordinance. Do we have a second on this?
I'll second.
TJ seconds. Any other discussion on this?
Just a clarification, just for everyone. The Planning Commission took it upon themselves to use the latest technology that's being offered when it comes to zoning maps, the actual physical look of it. And they were able to produce this full-color picture, and there's actually no official changes to it, from what I understand the Planning Commission. But it's just they're able to utilize new technology. We can get a new map in the back office, nice big map. So
What's the date on the map?
it would be just probably May 31st, 2016.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? I think we'll take a roll call. Mr. Wenzel.
Converse,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay, motion's passed. All right, down to 7B, we have the fireworks, which will be this Saturday. Rain will stay away finally, and music starts at 7, is that right? And hopefully you bring your friends and families out for a fun evening just beyond the Salem Elementary School here, so hope you can make it. So, Mr. Trent, motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township approve the revised makeup firework dates from Salem Community Events for the fireworks to be displayed on July 16th at dusk with a rain makeup date of July 23rd.
I'll second it.
Reggie seconds it. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fireworks are on. Under reports, we have the,
Mr. Supervisor?
oh, sorry. Go ahead, next business item.
Thank you. I move that the following invoices be postponed for payment for the July escrow account. Under Carlisle Workman, all bills pertaining to Showstack, which would total $10,980. And all of the invoices for Stantec Consulting totaling $37,294.90. And that we approve all the other invoices that are queued up for payment.
I'll second that. Any other discussion?
Which one are you removing from Carlisle Workman?
All
The,
the first, the second, and the last one.
okay.
So there's $345 that would be approved. Then the other $500 individual
Yeah.
items would be accepted.
Any further? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we're down to the reports. Clerks, treasurers, and we're down to the fire department. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In your board package, you have our call report. We had 44 calls for the month of June, which is up a number. Response time was excellent, under 6 minutes. Notable responses were a structure fire on the last day of June out there at the Modular Home Park. We had an individual that was barbecuing, finished eating, went to bed, and left the barbecue back on the deck. Upon notification, we arrived to show that the attached or the unattached shed and back of the structure was completely involved in fire. Thankfully, we have some of the firefighters that live within the park. Immediately struck a second alarm. We were able to stop the fire at the kitchen. And although there was extensive damage to the structure, we were able to save the bedrooms. Unfortunately, I'm sure the modular home will be a write-off, but nobody was injured. It just brings to the attention with the dry conditions that we've had and barbecuing, making sure that the barbecue is out. And we had some high winds, so I think that actually precipitated probably some of the coals to blow some of that ash out into onto the deck that caused the fire. On a positive side of things, on 4th of July, we had no fires, no firework accidents. We can't say that about our neighbors. We were more than a bit concerned with these dry conditions, so I want to thank the residents for being very prudent in their firework use, making sure that we didn't have any brush fires or structure fires. That's all I got, Mr. Supervisor.
All right, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
The Washtenaw County Law Enforcement's been submitted, and also the Planning and Zoning annual report's been in your packet. And before we get into board discussion, because there's some issues there I think we want to talk about, we have Dan Smith, our commissioner, here tonight. I don't know if you want to say anything, Dan. I should have did it at the beginning, so I apologize. So nice to have you with us tonight. So if you have anything to say, we'd love to hear it.
I guess I'll make one very quick update for you. One very quick update. At our board meeting earlier this month, the Board of Commissioners voted to put 2 millage requests on the November ballot. One is a 1/10 of a mill to fund all veteran operations in the county. That's currently funded by a combination of general fund and a special non-voted levy. And then the other is to ask the voters for a 1/2 mill 4-year road millage. This is to replace the non-voted levy we've done the past couple years under Act 283. So both those will be on the November ballot this fall.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Okay. Moving on down to board discussion. Board members, I put in your packet our ordinance on our land preservation conservation board packet, or our ordinance it's in your packet. I know a lot of you have been away and haven't had time to look at it, but I would request, first of all, there are some members here tonight in the audience. I don't know if many of you have been out to the park and stuff. We appreciate all the hard work that these folks have done by getting that open, and it's nice to be able to drive by there and see people using it, and we're thankful for their hard work on it. Our last land preservation board meeting that we met, the question is where do does this board go from here? What I'm asking the board members to do is to take this ordinance and look at it and see what the future and how we want to go about preserving land, if we feel this is what the township wants to do, if it's something that we need to look at the ordinance, if there's some changes. We want to be a community that looks at the land that's out there and see if there's opportunities for fundings. I have said many times before that I think when we present, we're talking about preservation, about all the agencies and every, that are out there that residents or township could tap into to preserve the land, that this would be, we would have the tools and the avenues to help drive people into get the right information and have, assist our residents. If you look at the last few years, what's been done, I think we have, we look at the, we think of the Geiger Farm, we think of the Balo Farm, we think of the Court property, we think of the land preservation over at 235 acres. There's been some, I believe, some good inroads to accomplish some. So, but the question is moving forward, I think it's only right that we, as a township board, give this land preservation board direction as we move forward. And we want to come back, I would say, in August and come up with a plan to put together and with different ideas. There's a lot of different, even in Washtenaw, I've been looking up since our last land preservation board, a lot of tools and avenues that we can plug into and help us with doing more preserving the land. So that's what our task is to do. So we can give direction to our land preservation board. They've done a fine job, and I can't thank them enough. We need to look forward. Any questions on this, or any ideas, or something we need to talk about now under discussion? Nobody? Mr. Trent?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll chime in for my 2 cents. I was a member of the board that established the Land Preservation Committee, which was a carryover from a committee that was started, it's called the Rural Land Preservation Committee, and given more authority and credence under the ordinance that was adopted back in 2009, I believe. So I've been a proponent and advocate of supporting preserving land. This township board took a giant step in that direction with the acquisition of the 235 acres at 5 Mile and Salem Road. I think that's a fine addition to our community to help preserve those types of properties. And I think we're at a good point now, especially at this juncture where we've got the proposals for development in the USD on our doorstep to strategize and revisit where do we want to expend funds in the future that will help us preserve the rural character of this township that most of the folks that live in this community came to Salem Township to enjoy.
Right.
And to that end, I think it's a good time for us to revisit the ordinance, as a board determine with financial commitment we want to invest going forward. I know personally, I think of various properties in and around the USD and elsewhere in the community that I think would be good for us to determine if those are properties that are worth acquiring, either direct ownership or working with the various agencies that the Land Preservation Board has connections with that can help us get grant monies and help maximize our investment in that means. So, I look forward to the discussion.
Anybody else, any thoughts? Sue, I'm not picking on you, Sue, but,
There you are.
do you have any comments?
One comment, or one of the main things I'd like to say to this board is that I would like to speak to each one of you individually. If you can take the time to call me, I would be glad to answer any of your questions, to give you any clarifications as to what we've actually done in the past and what we could actually be doing. Because I know that it can be confusing. I just want to say that we would like to be preserving land in the township, not just buying land and keeping it for future. We would like to be able to move forward and be of service to all the residents of our township who don't want to necessarily develop their land, but would like to preserve it. And there are funds out there that could be available to property owners throughout our township, and they could be getting federal funds or local funds from Ann Arbor or Washtenaw County funds. And we would just like to be able to assist them, just like the Plan Commission assists people in how they build their houses or develop their properties. And so I'm available most of the time, although July's been pretty tough for me because I'm gone, but I would be so happy. I could talk to you on the phone or get together with you. And I know Carl would be happy to meet with you. Steve is sorry he couldn't be here tonight, but he's on his way to Kentucky, so, but he would be here if you, and we've got Dan here. Where's Dan?
Thank you.
You have anything to say, Dan?
Yeah, I just would echo what Sue said. You know, I think the township would like to assist people if there's an interest in preserving the property. And, Sue's been involved in this for a long time, and she knows the different avenues to pursue in order to get that assistance. I think everybody sees value in preserving the rural atmosphere of Salem, and so I think that's where the interest in moving into that direction.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, down under discussion, next is landfill issues. We can bring up some of the questions that you had also during this discussion. So, board members, the only information, that there is a meeting tomorrow night in Ann Arbor. The training center, again, as far as the solid waste, I can only say to, and I'll make the comment again, that the landfill expansion has not come up at this committee level yet, which I sit on, and they have not talked about the expansion yet, or Advance has not made that, they have made a request, but they have not talked, there's not been open discussion at the committee level about the expansion of the landfill. I don't believe it's even on the agenda for this, for tomorrow night, for what's on the agenda, unless something comes up unexpected. But the issue still is that, is it an issue where, I definitely want feedback. I got feedback on both sides, that people are for it, people are against it. But we do want to be open enough to communicate with people who, want their opinions, so that we can feel what the township, what direction we should go on. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we're more than welcome to talk more about it or questions about it. And we can even, if we can be civil and talk with the public, we can have you join in too with the discussion on it, because we know it's a big topic down the road that we're facing. Mr. Trent.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. If my memory serves me correctly, I think we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary that Mr. Littell, the general manager of Advanced Disposal, came and made a presentation to this board a year ago, seeking to investigate the feasibility of expanding the landfill on the north side of 6 Mile. And a couple months later, we granted approval for them to do some drilling of some wells on the property that's being deeded to us when the current landfill is closed. And I think with everything that we have seen that's gone on with the landfill and the publicity since the wintertime with the odor issue, the DEQ coming out, doing their analyses and studies, that it's incumbent upon Advanced Disposal to come to this board at this time and give us an update on all those issues. I know that there was a big meeting in Northville Township in February that Supervisor Whitaker and I had the opportunity to attend representing the township when many residents of Northville Township expressed their concern about the odors that were going on then. We know that there's been corrective action that's taken place, but I think we, as the home township of this landfill, deserve a report from Advanced Disposal. And it's high time that they be invited to come and participate in the process with us. So, Mr. Supervisor, I would encourage you to reach out to those appropriate officials there and get them to come and give us an update.
Right. If you do recall, at our last meeting, during public comment and board members, you did receive an email from a resident that made public comment from Republic that made allegations of issues that Advanced Disposal was not doing right. I don't believe it's appropriate for this board to make comments on people during a lawsuit, what they are doing, but I did receive, and you will get a copy of this, from Advanced Disposal's perspective on the allegations that were made by them. Once again, you've got two people disputing on what's going on down there, but I think we have to be careful because there are always two sides of the story. And so between the DEQ and them, what they're putting in the report here, I'll have that for you to be able to look at it. The public is more than welcome to get this also. So, but other than that, any other questions that you have? Again, they still have said that September, October, they are, I believe, it could be, who knows how things go, where the issue will come before the committee in Washington to supply their, or present their whole plan to the state, to the county. And if this is a vote to consider expansion of the landfill, it will be in there, and maybe it won't. That's what's coming up ahead of us. So,
Hey, Gary?
yeah.
If the expansion decides to go, okay, can Washtenaw County override Salem's vote?
The way it keeps, and Dan, you can, I know you.
Well, I'd like to hear
I've seen
yours
emails,
instead
but
of his.
No, I'm just saying, so correct me if I'm wrong, but, again, at the committee level, when the committee votes, the plan goes to the state or to the county or whatever. Then, at that time, there is a vote between other counties, other townships, I should say, that are in Washtenaw County. So when that vote comes back, Salem could say no, and the other counties say yes, and it really kind of, we get it anyway. So, again, we just need to make sure we voice our opinions, how we feel about it, and I think everybody's doing a good job as long as people can be orderly and just raise their issues, and we gotta just move forward, and we want to hear them all, and I think people are doing it. But it's, but I would hate to see, again, I've said, I'm not saying I'm for or against, I'm just saying I would hate to see our town say no, and then not, you know, we need to sit down. I would hope that there, before, if that happens, I would hope that they would have the opportunity to come to us and tell us what are they gonna do for us? And what, I mean, it is a nightmare down there, and we need some stuff done.
Well, that should be going on all along.
True.
Instead of giving them what they want, that what they should be telling, we should be telling them, what are you gonna do for us?
Right. And O'Neill,
Not what we do for
you
you.
know, again, I always get blamed for blaming the past, and that's not it, but I'm just saying, back in 2009, for 20 years, it's the same thing. It's like, what did our town get for that? I mean, it really, you know, 80 acres across the street from a landfill that is gonna be closed, it's a worthless piece of land. Who's gonna want that land? And again.
About the concrete crusher, we don't want that either.
But then you have a problem with, you know, the land, if it's not, you know, then people are saying, well, that land's worth a lot of money to the landfill, so then it becomes worth a lot of money. So you got some people looking at it that way. So, but, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that.
That land is an obsolete piece of land. Once they, that land that they offer is obsolete. Once they pull the dirt
That's
out
what
of
I'm
it,
saying.
they
So-
claim they're gonna build a little lake on there. It's sitting right next to the power lines. Take your kids over there and let them swim around a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's.
You have three-eyed frogs running around.
Take your kids to my front yard right now.
You're exactly right. That's not, you know, that's the issue with that. But we do have to be smart about it, and I just think that we need to.
I think that you being smart about it, that you don't want it to be that nobody wants to move to Detroit at this point. They only want to go to the hub where it's really, really nice. I think that in the future, your children and grandchildren of you people sitting up there on the board, they come back and say, this is what they let pass, this is the dumping ground, Salem wanted a garbage dump. Put it along an expressway where people go 70 miles an hour, smell it for 5 minutes, it's not in their wells, it's not contaminating the ground. Eventually, it will restore itself out there where people are living. You want this along an expressway. Do you want your children and your heritage to be known on you guys on that board of making it a garbage dump area? Salem being the garbage dump? Salem. Is that what you want?
Carl,
How many years do we have left on the landfill before the expansion comes
they're saying
around?
about 17 years.
17 years,
That's what they're saying.
okay.
Yes.
Gary, isn't it true though that even though the Washtenaw County Commission, whatever, they pass it on to the next one and it gets voted by the people, the one person per vote, per county, I mean per subdivision or not subdivision, township, that the ones that don't vote are counted as a yes. So you don't really have to make a decision here in Salem. You can ignore the whole thing and don't vote and you'll get a yes vote and then you don't have to take the dump for it. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is.
But the issue, at hand is that you don't, I don't want it forced on us and not have a say-so what we need to do with issues we have down there.
Right, so the only way that Salem can try to keep this from happening is to try to convince the other townships to not vote for it. And we're asking you to help us do that.
Well,
Help us.
Again, it's an issue where, you know, the counties are gonna say, and again, I keep looking back at records before, like when they put the demands on Salem back, I don't know, 35 years ago, or how long has it been there, 40
But
years?
35 years ago, there was no building around it.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that people didn't want it then, and they got it anyway. So,
But how many people was here to say that?
no, I don't, but
You can't
no,
compare it.
I don't think anybody wanted it.
Right, you can't compare it though to
No,
the amount of
but
people
I'm
here
saying
now.
is that I don't want, you know, I would hate to see us put our heads in the sand and then say, you know, we're not gonna get anything for it, if it does happen. I just, again, I know it's slowly, everybody wants answers right now. I don't know the answers, I'm just saying, you're listening to what they're saying, and, I think we will know pretty soon.
So what about the meeting that's in Lansing next week? That's
On
going
the
to try to change the,
On the 20th.
what's that called they're changing? They
Right,
want to change some of the rules of how
right.
this is done, like talking to your communities
Right.
around you, or talking to people within a 2-mile radius. People needs to go to Lansing and
Right.
talk to them.
Right.
On the
Next
20th.
week,
Right.
on the 20th.
Yep.
At 12 o'clock.
Okay, yes, sir.
So Gary, I'm a little confused. You said that there's a decision being made September, October, but yet you're on the solid waste planning committee board. Why don't you know when that decision's being made?
It just depends, you know, there's discussions, there's the work, there's a consultant that's giving us all the information, and then they're saying that that could be the time, I don't know. You know, we're waiting to hear even, at least I'm
We're waiting and waiting, and you say you don't need, you know, people want answers now, right? It's only if it's September, it's only 2 months away.
Right.
So we want
Liars.
answers now.
So what's gonna make the difference between now and October?
Well, it basically is gonna be, once they present their plan to the committee, which they haven't done that yet.
But they can't even do that till the plan has been agreed to open
No,
it that you
they
want
still
another
have
bill.
to, yeah, they have to make, they're gonna make a presentation about what their plan is. I
And
mean,
how
they made the
fast-
request, but it hasn't come at the committee level to talk about it. They're talking about recycling, they're not talking about the facility, which they have made that request, and it has to come to the committee level to talk about it. And that's what we're, and
So the timeline on ewashingnow.com shows that this decision-making process takes it through the end of the year. So again, I'm
yeah, well, I'm just saying, there were comments at the committee that were saying that it could be, you know, September, October. I'm just telling you what I've said, I think most of you have heard that, that's.
So I'll ask that question again tomorrow.
Gary, right,
Thank you.
okay, yes.
Gary, why can't we actively pursue looking at their plan prior to the time that it goes to Washtenaw County? I mean, why can't we be like right in there, so when they say we wanna do this, you're saying, you know, I don't think that's gonna fly, or that would look good, or, you know, like, how can you insert yourself in at the last minute as a board? I mean, isn't there something that you could, you know, like, just be strong about meeting with them and finding out what the plan is before they make decisions and present it to Washington? It's gonna be harder to take it back once it's
Right.
there.
Well, I think we will know when, you know, the landfill comes up. I mean, that's why most of us are concerned about it, you know, and.
But don't
we
you
will-
wanna be part of the,
I am a
what they're
part of it.
planning? No, but with the landfill people, with advanced disposal.
Somebody
that-
from this
Right,
board
oh, you're talking
on
about
their
from
committee.
advance.
Why aren't we like totally with them in their planning process with advanced disposal as they're putting together what they wanna do with
They
this
have-
landfill?
Right, they haven't been, we told them, we have a committee here, and this is advanced, to come and discuss what they are exactly talking about. And,
But it's
that's-
already getting, you know, if they're gonna do something in October, they've got something.
Well,
going
yeah,
on.
there's, yeah,
Lies.
okay.
It says that you discussed a truck route in your last meeting. What is that truck route you're discussing?
Basically, right now, we've been talking about it, Dale and I met with the engineers at Washtenaw about a truck route that will go in our industrial area, which would be 6 and Chubb down to 5 and Chubb up to going that, which needs to be paved.
Who's
Up to
paying for
where?
that?
I'm sorry? 6 to Chubb.
Yeah, 6, so between 6 and 5 Mile on Chubb
Okay.
Road. And then from 5 Mile on Chubb going east to Napier.
Who's paying for that, Gary?
We want the businesses to pay for it,
Who's paying for it, Gary?
the businesses.
The township's paying for it.
No, it's not. I mean, again, if the township decides that they want to do that, but again, we've already talked to, a guy who can help us assess the businesses and talk to the business. We have talked to the businesses, and we got to get that paid.
You said go into Napier, then where are they gonna go?
Well, it's the 5 Mile corridor. You know, that goes out to.
It's what?
The 5 Mile corridor that goes out to.
To what, M14?
Out to-
So they're not supposed to be going northbound on Napier Road? Where I picked up that hunk of cement?
I'm just saying, we need to.
I'm asking you a question.
No, what I'm saying is that you're asking me a question about the truck route. We've been talking the last meetings, it's about paving Chubb Road from 6 to 5 and going east.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In your flyer, you said $2 million was spent on maintaining the roads. How much of that was spent to maintain Chubb Road, to heavy traffic going from there?
Right, well, the main, the grading and everything that would have gone into Chubb Road and stuff, but most of that money was done in North Territorial, the project that needed to be done. It was over 3 years, I think that was about
$8 million.
Yeah, right. So a lot of it was that, and the rest was to local roads.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could interject to this lady's question, over the course of a couple of years, there was probably close to $300,000 invested in Chubb Road between 5 Mile and 7 Mile. There was a culvert that had to be replaced a few years ago. The road commission wanted the culvert replaced first before they would do the 6 inches of gravel upgrade. That was done between 5 and 6 Mile, and then there was 6 inches of gravel that was done between 6 and 7, either the year prior or the year after that.
Yeah, which is all gone now because of the truck traffic.
I'm afraid you misunderstood my question. My question actually was a little bit sarcastic. Why is our township paying for maintaining Chubb Road when we have a heavy Keller industrial there? And they should maintain the road, not our township.
Just wait till they expand the dump.
Answer her question, please.
Well, actually, we have, you know, the difficult part with the roads is what we can actually even do ourselves, which is actually asking for permits, and it's difficult. I mean, I've never seen, actually, the state came with me to a meeting just to easily pull a permit to be able to use the calcium chloride. They don't have, that helps with a lot of the dust issues.
Mr. Supervisor, in the back of my memory is something about Napier Road being a bonded road by the dump. What would be, and perhaps we can direct this more over to our lawyer, but one at a time.
What are you talking
Guys,
about?
hang on a minute, guys.
Hey, one at a time, please, gentlemen.
Watch what's going on
No,
over
why
here,
don't you shut
okay?
up?
Listen to what's going on over here.
Shut up.
Since that road was bonded, and there was a process to do that, can that process be engaged with that industry which all are concerned, the gravel, on to Chubb? Can we get, is there some mechanism, legal mechanism, and I'm sort of addressing it.
Right.
That we could get that company to bond that road in the condition that it is right now, because you can't necessarily get them to bond something that isn't there. Is there some way we could go about that? That would resolve the 300,000, was it? Dave, over the last X number of years, regardless of what it was spent for. Is there some mechanism by which we could do that? And then, if I may use the term hoist, to repair that road off onto that company?
There are avenues that the township could take to get that cost of the road repaired borne by those businesses. For example, some sort of special assessment district would be established for that road. then
Right, and that's what we're trying to do. We got the engineering costs, I think engineering, what was it, 130,000?
130,000.
But, you know, that's, we need to, that road's gotta get paved. I mean, as I said to the public before, they said they wouldn't even look at that for 3 years. And after pleading with them, they said that they would slate it to figure out how to do it by next year.
Mr.
So that's what
Chair,
our hope is.
I would like to say one thing.
Yes.
They started to look into it recently after I contacted the office of our state representative, Gretchen Driscoll. Right after that, Washington County came out and started taking pictures. We complained for years about that and nothing happened. Just, oh, we cannot do nothing, we cannot do nothing. One call did a lot.
To who, I'm sorry?
State Representative Gretchen
Right.
Driscoll.
Right.
She talked to
Which
you.
you told her that everything's okay over here.
Yes, she talked to you.
Liar.
What is the current truck route?
Well, the bonded road from the landfill is the, from Beck Road, M14, going up 5 Mile to Napier Road into the landfill. That's considered in the host agreement of the truck route that's supposed to be done. Now, the issue that they have is that, you know, these roads are, you know, you can, a truck can go down them. It's not illegal for them to go down. So, that's the issue at hand. So, it's like, you know, between Northville.
So we have a bad neighbor that's not enforcing the truck routes to the drivers.
Well, again,
And
you
we're not
can't-
doing
right,
anything
you-
about it.
Again, they're trying, you know, they're putting signs up there. It still is not working, but at the same time, you can't tell a truck to go down a road that they're allowed to be on. And again, it's because either both townships need to come together, create some kind of truck routes, and then you create an ordinance and you say, this is the route. And
Is that being worked on then?
well, that's what we need to do. Again, that's the issue with, you know, what we're trying to say about Chubb
That's
Road.
the issue, but is it being worked on?
It's worked on, we're looking at it. Mr. Nix, Supervisor Nix over there, you know, he's looking at it. We've talked together, we've talked to the landfill about, we got a real problem. And we are trying to figure out how do we, you know, put them truck routes in place. Like going east on 6 Mile in through Northville Township, which is that little dirt stretch there. You know, it's, you know, the simplest thing in my mind is get a no truck sign up there and say no trucks.
And get them all to 5 Mile.
But I'm saying, you know, again, it's not, you know, Mr. Nix can't go out there and do it. I can't go out there and do it. The county owns the roads, and they won't do it. They just, again, when you getting into the roads, they have jurisdiction of, just like how we tried to get changed the speed limits.
Who are they then?
This is the county,
County,
the
yes.
Wayne County Road Commission, and also the,
You've worked with them before, right?
Right.
Do you have a name?
yeah, well, not in Wayne County, but in ours, you have Roy Townsend, that are in Washington.
Right, so let's take on David Trent's thing that we need to have them here to stand up and be accounted for. We have to bring in the county, we have to bring in the neighbouring townships, of which I'm a resident of as well.
Right.
And they're going through an IPO at the moment. They're the most vulnerable time of the thing. The last thing that they want is bad publicity. And the information that they're providing both to the public here, on their own websites, to their customers, and in their IPO are completely different. And I'm quite prepared to do a press briefing, and I mean a proper one, where I'm going to hit them where it really hurts, and they will have problems with their IPO. And you can put no record for saying that. But I think, first of all, we need to sit around, all of us, and have a proper discussion with them. And they've got to stand up and be a lot more honest than they've been. And find a solution. Because we shouldn't be proactive. We should be really hitting them and say, these are the ground rules you're going to play with. If you don't like them, we will start challenging it. You. Northville Township have got a lot of clout, and they've got a lot of people within the township that can cause a lot of pain, as other people have found out over time. And I'm saying is, let's network. These trucks are coming through all these other neighbourhoods, and they're causing total havoc. We should enforce, like they're in New York and things, formalised truck routes throughout our state. And that comes back to the discussions in Lansing that have been really being pushed on the agenda, because so many other states are saying enough's enough. What are we expecting from our landfills? They're impacting so much of our urban development, and now's the time to stop. Off my soapbox.
Thank you. Now's the time to start. Put the resolutions in, pass the ordinances, find the trucks. If you can pass the ordinances to make those trucks go where they need to go, they're in your township.
We have ordinances already that nobody follows.
That's true. Yes. I said enforce them. That was the word.
That's what you have
you know, your paymasters for. That's what enforces your lease.
Okay. Bill?
Mr. Supervisor, again, I shall direct, if you will, do we have legal, the county owns the roads. Do we have legal standing to dictate the use or the vehicular use of those roads? Does the township have any legal standing to dictate the vehicular use of, in particular, Napier Road?
As the supervisor said, those roads are county roads, they're within the county's jurisdiction, so anything we do is going to have to require some cooperation of the county. We can't put up signs without county cooperation.
I just wanted the legal aspect of it made clear, that from a legal standpoint, the township doesn't have a leg to stand.
We're not allowed
Other
to.
than the keys that we can bend on and bend.
But the county is going to want to be environmentally responsible.
Oh,
So
that's what we
therefore,
have to push.
that's why they're going to come and support us. Because if they don't, they're going to have a hard time.
Doesn't matter, Gary's gonna be on their side anyway, no matter what.
So excuse me, why would we add an additional dump with more trucks at this point? When we've got such a problem with trucking as it is? Why would we, as the township, want to do that to the residents?
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of comments and then a couple of questions. The number 17 for the landfill completion as it, in its current footprint seems to me to
Could you
be...
speak a little louder? I'm having a hard time. Sorry.
The 17-year lifetime of the current footprint of the landfill seems to me to be erroneous. The numbers don't jive. First of all, in 2009, I remember receiving, when the landfill host agreement was amended, information that its current footprint, because there was no talk about expansion, was going to last another 15 to 20 years. Well, that's 7 years ago. So now we're looking at 8 to 13. In those last 7 years, it is documented that they're not just receiving more residential or commercial waste, they're receiving more construction waste, which to my, I don't know, I'm not an expert at this, but I would think that a truck of concrete, number one, is going to take up more space and fill it up faster than my residential waste. And number two, it's going to cost the trucking company more of a tipping fee to dump concrete versus residential waste, which then takes us to the revenues we receive from the landfill have been constant for the last 4 years, according to the budgets that have been published. So my question would be, who's monitoring those tip rates, and why haven't they been a reflection of the different waste that's been received by the landfill?
So Salem's not getting their fair share.
It doesn't seem like it. As far as the committee, the solid waste committee is concerned, there are 14 members on the committee, 8 of whom have to pass any plan of all the solid waste, talking recycling, education, composting, solid waste, hazardous waste, and everything. 8 of those 14 people on that committee have to pass the plan before it goes to the next step. The problem is 4 of the people of those 14 are members of the solid waste industry. So that's something to remember. Second, the plan, when it gets revised and there's public comments and whatever, whether that happens in December or February or June of next year, when the plan is finalized and put to a vote of the county, it does not include votes from Northville or Plymouth because they're not in Washtenaw County. And it needs a 67% approval by the county, not just our little township. People that live 2-3 miles away have no immediate effect to their lifestyle, to their property values. So I can't imagine somebody in Scio Township or Green Oaks, is it? Chelsea, Saline, any of those people are going to be voting against it because they're getting revenue for it. So they're going to look at the bottom line dollar. I would like again to request that the board post on our website the eWashington contact, because the Solid Waste Management Planning Commission notes, graphs, all kinds of information can be entered and deciphered and looked at through that link. And you're talking about letting us know what's going on. If you would simply post that and let everybody know, I could tell my neighbors, they could tell their neighbors. If anybody has a question, they can go and get information. They can also make comments. There is a contact where you can voice your comment to Washtenaw County. I would like personally to know from the board, and if it requires a written request for a written response, I would gladly do so. I would like to know who monitors the tip fees. I would like to know what is a brainstorm plan for the property if it is not developed. Maybe we could buy it as a land preservation park, the 240 acres. Sorry to be sarcastic, but that's how I feel. And I've asked before, and I would still like to know how our tax base is going to be affected if it's expanded, if it's not expanded. I think we all have the right to know that information. Thank you.
You know, can I make a request?
Yeah.
If you would, some of that information you said that you left on the website, if it would be helpful, if you could just communicate with me on that, and we'll make sure we get all that on there that you think would be helpful to me.
Sure.
We could just work together on it.
It's all information that I received coming to the local meeting of the Solid Waste Planning Committee that was here in May.
Right.
And information that my husband has gotten as a public citizen committee member.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Any more questions on this? Okay. Moving forward. Any other public comment? Mr. Gordon, Sanders?
I asked you to address the rock field with hauling off the trucks.
Mr. John Daniel's not in with us again today. Mr. Whitaker. I've been talking to you for quite some time now about this deal over here, especially today. I live across the street from Kalo Trucking. What is this powder that's falling upon me as I'm working outside of my yard with my wife on our garden? This is a powder that's falling, okay? This is not a dust issue from the gravel road. This is a dust issue from the top of Kalo Trucking. They are ascending higher and higher and higher up on that hill. A truck rolled over yesterday, which our paramedics had to go there yesterday and rescue them, okay? They're going higher and higher and higher. When is this gonna stop? And when is this noise level gonna stop? Okay, this is, I'm gonna give you time to ask, to answer me. The noise level is ridiculous. It's like nails on a chalkboard every 5 minutes. How much of this are we gonna endure, Mr. Whitaker? The banging of the gates. Has your planning commission gone over and checked every one of Kalo's trucks for their bumpers on their gates? I don't think so. There's not one gate that's got, it's metal on metal all day long, 24/7. We have no help from you guys, from the trustees, from the planning commission, yet our supervisor does nothing for us whatsoever. Why are they working on Sundays? You told us that they have a permission from the MDOT. MDOT, okay, I called MDOT. They have a permission to run their trucks on Sunday, but they have to follow the ordinances of the town. Do you know that, Gary? Did you get with MDOT? Why are you lying to me and my wife that they have the right to dump on Sunday when they don't? They have to follow the ordinances of the town. Okay, stop lying to us. They have no permit on Sundays, to dump on Sundays over here at their place, okay? MDOT gives them a permit to run wherever they want to. You have to stop them, and you don't. We have a health hazard in this town. I want to ask you to hire a company to check our dust that's flying over our house. Can we get that from you?
I think the DEQ's been out there.
No, you were with the DEQ, Zach Durham and you all are good friends. Every time that Zach Durham and DEQ come over here, you let them know ahead of time. Kayla lets them know ahead of time. You know, big county cleanup. You know what's going on. Okay. If I conduct my own, if I spend $10,000 on my own dust level, will that work for you? If I spend $10,000 of my own money to find out what dust is falling on my property, will that work for you to shut them down?
Okay, are you done?
No, I'm not done.
You got 3 minutes.
Okay, I got 3 more minutes.
No, you had 3 minutes.
No, it's not 3 more minutes yet. Mr. Whitaker, you are not doing nothing for this town. You are not helping us whatsoever. You know, you look at us like we're fools over here. We're having dust fly all over us, hazardous material, and you look at this like we're just some gypsies over here. Okay? You're making a lot of money on this town. You're making a lot of money from school buses coming over here, spending the little kids' money
Sir,
over
it's
here
time
on your
for
own
you to
property.
sit down.
I don't think so.
Who's our sergeant at arms?
I hope it's not Windsor. This could be interesting. He could
You're
hurt.
gonna get calm now, sir.
Thank you,
Sit down.
Xander.
You know, we're sick of this over here, okay? When are you gonna help us, Mr. Whitaker?
I hope he ain't
And
your bouncer.
Pam over here, who owns a construction company, where Caleb's trucks are back and forth on her
All right.
construction company.
All right, listen, time out.
What's going on in our backyard?
Okay, let's,
Your wife.
Mr. Xander,
Yes, she does. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your cheese, mister.
Every day.
Thank you, Pam, for
Okay.
voting for, and you too. Planning Commission. Are you gonna get these guys back again?
okay?
No, are you?
Hey, Butch, can you take him
Are
out?
you really?
Thank you,
Just have him
Xander.
leave.
And who pays for this?
Hey, you know what? It ain't Butch's job to take anybody out of here. Gary, you're from Brightmoor. You take him out.
I want order right now.
You know?
He's just asking for some answers.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't blame the guy.
Listen,
The man's asking for some help. Look where he lives.
folks,
That's
okay,
That's,
okay.
that's unbelievable.
Is that protected?
Anyway,
That's
but it's,
uncivil. This is a civil professional.
Maybe his head
He's
is
tried,
so.
he's tried.
That's sad.
The man's life is in danger and his family's in danger where he's living and what he's living
hold
with.
on, please.
I'd like to make a comment, please.
Uh-huh.
It's my turn.
Hey, you don't run the meeting.
That's all right.
No?
You don't either.
Come on, let's be respectful.
I always ask when I wanna talk, big
Podium,
boy.
please, just let's be respectful, come on.
Number one, Mr. Zander moved here in 2013. This is heavy industrial. I just happen to own an anchor roll company. I've been here since in the 1970s. I moved here in 1968 and started a business. I bought property, heavy industrial, to be in business. Anybody that's came here and bought property is to be in business because that's the only place you can put heavy industrial. You folks bought houses. The property was zoned heavy industrial in 1971. If you moved here, you kind of should have looked around at what was going on. That's all I gotta say. I'm in business, Mr. Kale's in business, and everybody along there is in business. If they want to pave the road, I'll have to pay it, because I own 13 acres on Chubb Road, also 5 on Salem. So, this is ridiculous, because it took me 20 years to get for deliveries only up here on this road and at Sub Road. Every time a truck comes, the illegal no truck signs, which they are illegal, in 1995, it was voted to no through trucks. But Washtenaw doesn't have a no through truck sign, so they just put the no truck sign. 20 years, you think you're gonna get anything from the county? It just happened this year that they put those signs up, so my trucks coming in could actually, they stop at the bottom of the hill and walk down the Tillman. They
Or
won't
they-
even turn,
Or they call us.
or they call us, say, we won't come through those signs. So, you're not gonna get anything from the county, so you can't say anything about this man or this board or any other board. They are not gonna do you any good. Unless there's money.
Okay, let me just a couple things. First of all, I want to apologize for the outburst. Some of the that's no-
Gary, are we still in public comment? Okay, if you're doing supervisor comments, that's
No,
fine.
you're right.
I had a call, notwithstanding the passion we've just experienced, because that's clearly what this man is dealing with, and you can call it irrational if you want. But he's dealing with some very serious issues affecting his home, and as members of the community, we should all be concerned about that. While I agree, that's an industrial area, that does not mean the industrial areas go unfettered. There are certain controls that should be placed on certain areas of our township for reasons that have to do with the health, safety, welfare of our community. So to say that we moved close to a landfill or an industrial area in and of itself doesn't mean that the changes that might occur in the future are something that we need to tolerate without any consideration for the effect on the health and welfare of those individuals. That site was not approved for concrete crushing. That was a use that was added after the fact. And there's some questions as to how that authorization occurred. And I think they're still a bit unresolved. But in any case, the concrete crushing, I had a neighbor call me the other day. There was a public hearing when they were about to process the 275 corridor, the changes. And the communities up and down 275 heard that there was going to be on-site concrete crushing. And there was an uproar in the community because those individuals adjacent to that property in where the construction was going to occur, so there was already a lot of disruption, were pretty irritated when they heard there was going to be concrete crushing on site as well. So the leaders, or the decision makers that were controlling the processes that were going to occur on that 275 corridor took that into consideration, took the health, the welfare, the well-being, the safety of those surrounding individuals and said there will not be any concrete crushing in the middle of this construction.
So Salem takes it.
So where did it end up? Just down the street here. We had an opportunity to take a look at the ordinance, to consider the health and safety factor that we embed in that zoning ordinance. But we failed to take it into consideration when we permitted this use. The fact that it's happening 24/7 only makes the matters worse. If we're saying that there is no way to control the way industrial property is used when it has a negative impact on the health and safety of the surrounding area, we've completely missed the boat.
So they dump it in Salem, the
So
dumping
there's
ground.
another concrete crusher right off right Chubb Road by the railroad tracks. It's
Again-
been there for over 25 years.
Well, when was the last time it was used, big boy? 10, 15 years ago?
When was it?
So
10,
again,
15
they dump
years
it in
ago?
Salem, it's the dumping ground, is that what we wanna be known
Andy, you have a
as?
question?
You know, I would just like to give another perspective, is that what the planning commission did was to take into consideration, is Kalo, granted, that what they started out with was a truck terminal. That's what they got approval for, a truck
Correct.
terminal. And then all kinds of changes happened, they were approved without planning commission approval. The issue is the concrete crushing an allowed use in the heavy industrial area? And the answer is yes, it's an allowed use. I know we had people come and say, and they're reading recycling ordinances, and they weren't reading the proper ordinance, because I believe TJ already addressed the issue with Mr. Plato, because there was something about recycling. And that ordinance didn't apply. The ordinance that applies is the heavy industrial area. Is concrete crushing allowed? And the answer is yes, it is an allowed use. It's not a conditional use. It's not that we can say, no, we don't want this. There's also the issue with the health and safety in the airborne material. The DEQ states, and they were out, or the DEQ came and they said there's to be no dust from their operations leaving that site. And they were out there, they said, call us anytime. I believe they've been called multiple times. And there hasn't been dust from the concrete crusher leaving the site. So there
How do you know?
isn't any,
No, how can that be?
so
Because they
that,
spray it with water.
because they spray it with water.
But they don't, they
The
spray
du-
the road surrounding, but
the-
it's hitting Mr. Sanders' property.
It's not the dust from the concrete crusher.
From the road.
The problem is the roads.
But
The
you didn't
roads.
have that problem before the concrete crushing happened.
Because there wasn't.
He's lived there longer than 2 years.
Yes.
It's the dirt
2013.
from the trucks.
Can I
Just
ask
please let me finish.
Sure,
Please let
I'll
me
be
finish.
nice, I'll be nice.
So, thank you. That's all. So it is that, I feel bad, we all feel bad for the Xanders. Nobody wants to live there. But I've sat out that corner, I run down there at least once or twice a week to see what's going on and down the road, just to try and be aware. The problem is the dirt off those trucks. And the DEQ, who's been involved with the dump and Kalo, they're saying, of the trucks that run down that road, over half of them, and they say, we're assuming, because we know, we see the trucks, over half of those trucks, more than half, is from the dump. It's from the dump. But now Kalo, it's a dirt yard. They are dirty trucks. We are an agricultural community, it's a dirt road. And I look at some of the roads out in the middle of nowhere that have that 50, 30 feet or whatever of pavement. I'm like, there's none right there. And so we're trying to we gotta get these roads under control. That will help. I know that Gary has been trying to get permits from Washtenaw County and trying to get Washtenaw County Road Commission to do something. The answer is always, we don't have any money, we don't have any money. So then, of course, we're saying, well, where's the money that's coming from the dump? What's that being spent on? Well, if it's spent on grading. Well, now then Gary goes and says, well, we want to put our own chloride on it because the stuff that you use, Washtenaw County, lasts for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then it's all over the place again. So now, Kalo's paying for something special to keep the dust down. And when it was done, Washtenaw County comes down the road the very next day and grades the road and tears it all up again. We really need to focus on our roads. It's the dirt from the roads. When I drive down that road, I drive an SUV. It is a narrow road. Dirt is flying on the shoulder there. I understand, but when I'm on that site and I go out there and they say, you can come out here anytime. I go out there and I say I'm here. There's no dirt coming off the site or from the crusher. And then there's also been testing. There was testing being a couple of times to test the air quality for the school on the site. They've even done noise testing all around his site and across the road. And it's all within the required, the required ratings, decibel ratings of whether or not even his people have to wear ear protection. So,
Kalo's
if there's
trucks,
any
the
questions
gates
that-
do have the dampers on Kalo trucks, but there are more other trucks that come there to bring concrete in that aren't Kalo trucks, and they don't have it on their gates, and he has no control over those trucks.
Well, here's my question. A couple of meetings ago, my husband took me for a ride down Chubb Road after we left this meeting, and I understand that we do have an industrial core. I understand that. My question as a citizen is, why when you go halfway down Chubb, you see Kalo's offices with beautiful green grass with sprinkler systems, and it's lovely, and it's what he puts into his brochure. But as a township, we're allowing him to crush within 50 feet, 50 yards of vehicular residential traffic. It's an eyesore. I can't, and you can't tell me that the dust doesn't fly. You can't.
The
I mean,
dust
it's-
is not from the concrete crusher, because I believe is that Mr. Petrosky? He's talked about the health hazard and
Yes.
and whatnot. It's not coming from the concrete. It's not coming from the concrete.
What about when they dump the concrete in there? There's
The white
dust right
powder,
there.
that has to be wet too.
Before they dump?
It
No.
has, it's when it all goes in.
So you're saying they spray it as they're dumping it?
As the truck
They-
comes in there,
everything
she's saying they
has to
spray it,
be
which is wrong.
Wet, and the dust cannot leave the property. The concrete cannot, the dust cannot leave the property. There's one other thing.
So where's the test report, where's the test results showing that it's not hazardous?
Actually,
It's right, it's,
well, Hugh has some.
Kalo has a private.
Okay.
The school had
Hey,
a.
Joanne, didn't she just say that it was planned without going to the planning commission?
That have determined.
It was
that there's
okay
no
without
health
going to the planning
Are they
commission?
published?
She just said that.
Are they public info?
They okayed it without going to the planning commission.
Okay, this
Put that on there.
one person, hold it,
Just one more thing, about the office, you're talking it all beautiful, and then he had, that office in that building was already there, so he was going on what was existing, because we've often joked about, why can't he put the office out front and put all the stuff in the back? But he's got those wetlands right there too, that he can't get into. So what he has done is he has moved that concrete crusher as far away as possible, and I believe the big concrete piles, a few of the neighbors here have actually thanked him because they said it has cut down the noise tremendously.
I'd like to reiterate some of the stuff that was said earlier, and that was in regards to dust and the, if anybody has driven down 6 Mile Road right after it has rained, you will notice, because I have driven this most every day, you will see a dirt trail that goes down on either side of the trucks, down the middle, and you will see that going all the way up to the top of the hill. That is dirt that I have seen that probably is up to 3 to 4 inches thick. That comes from Chubb Road. That does not come from the crushing plant. That is about, I think Gary went down there and counted, there's about 75 trucks, plus or minus, I don't know how many. 53, whatever it is. 53 trucks that are on businesses, because there's more trucking businesses down there than just Kalo. There's R&R, there's Iron Horse, there's all sorts of Jackies. There's a lot of trucking companies down there. They use that road. When it is wet, they use it, they don't stop, and they track it right out onto 6 Mile Road, and 6 Mile comes in. So the highest priority, if you want to control the dust, is we have to pave Chubb Road. This township has set up. I heard her, but I'm also going to come back and say, I'm the one that physically made the call to Mr. Roy Townsend and Mr. Jim Harmon, and they were told me they are busy, they can't have, for 3 years, they can't do it. I says, that's unacceptable, we will go do it ourselves. They came back and says, we will have, I says, we have companies, we'll do it, we're going to do it. Because we have the right, PA 181 and 182 of the highway traffic, or the thing that was passed for the highway funding, has in that we, if we pay over 50%, we can get our own contractors, we can get our own bid, we can do everything ourselves if we're over 50%, and we are going to be paying the majority of this road. So yes, we can get our own services. When that happened, they came back, and I'm going to use the term, they got religion, we got a call back and says, okay, by the way, we are going to set up an issue, we can get the engineering. I was not aware that we have to have the road engineered before it can be paved. But they have to go through all the easements, they have to go through the utilities, they have to go through the biggest one that we have down there. We have a railroad track that crosses that road. The coordination between paving that road and the railroad is very, very difficult to deal with. who's responsible for what and how. So bottom line here is that road needs to be paved. And I understand, I sympathize, I feel sorry for the people that have to put up with it. But yes, to blame Kalo, Kalo is a big problem. I'm not going to dispute that. But the issue here is, don't blame Kalo for the road dirt. The road dirt is, we have to have that addressed and addressed first. Then you can go back through and get the other ones, because you can run all your DNA samples of the dust you want. Where does it come from? You don't know. But I'm going to tell you, when they go back there and they monitor the dust that comes off of Kalo, it isn't from them, but as you have in the pictures of the been going around here of the trucks coming down and the road, the dirt, the dust coming up from the road, what do you expect? You also go back in here, and if the dust is just right, watch the dust coming off the top of the landfill. That is an extremely dusty area. It is more than just one individual crusher.
Gary, to say something.
All right.
Well, I'll be quick. Can we try and get this down to some real facts? Can you get from the DEQ the tests and publish them on our website or issue in the newsletter so we know what we're looking at and what we're arguing about? And obviously
And don't we have them in the office already at the planning commission? Do they submit them? Do you remember? I'll get.
I don't know.
Okay.
Isn't there tests, aren't they testing at the school?
Yeah.
And there are reports in the school on
Right.
the dust?
There's no.
There's nothing at the school, right?
Right.
So a lot of these people are saying, I'm using the kids as an excuse to make a big issue out of this. When the
Well-
school's doing, the testing being done.
Okay. All right.
I was under the understanding, and it might not be true, that the dump, years ago when they bonded that on Napier between 5 and 6 Mile,
Right.
that it was done by the dump, that the dump took care of it. So why can't you go to these businesses and say, you know, you're doing this to our area, we want you to be a good neighbor, what can you do to help us pay for this? And the dump had to go across the railroad track, so that's not an excuse. Talk to the dump and see who they had doing and what they had to do to get done.
I should know that.
Man, that's exactly what we're doing. If you pay attention, we are
I never heard that
desperately.
said, don't
No,
tell me to pay attention.
No, I'm saying, if you're paying attention, we have worked and are working to get the engineering done. We have talked to a lot of the business owners down there, and there would be some kind of special assessment. But again, I'm just saying, we cannot allow to have that kind of district down there coming off of a dirt road. And we should have addressed this years ago. I'm not, it's got to be done. You can't have an industrial road and have that kind of traffic come off of a dirt road. It just has to be done.
I
So
never said I didn't want it
no,
done,
no.
I'm saying it should be done, I'm
Right,
just offering a
right.
reason.
So
to try to
I'm
do it.
saying that's what's in the process right now, and we've got to get that done.
And we've got a dust problem, as you're saying, on the roads, and you just said it comes from the dump. So why would we add an additional dump to create more problems and more dust in our area? It's just ridiculous.
Okay, all right.
I'm
All right.
sorry, I just have
All right.
one more short comment is, you know, I've read on the SharingSalem website, which I think is great for sharing information, that they said that the Kalo should have been shut down just in case there's a health issue. That, we can't do that. We cannot legally, we will get sued big time because of all the agencies that Kalo has gone through, not including us, to be authorized to do that, no dust coming off their site, there hasn't been a proven health issue. And for us to say, well, we need to shut you down just in case, we'd be in court with yet another multi-million-dollar lawsuit, so that can't happen. And just my 2 cents for Merlo Construction having anything to do with Kalo, that has nothing to do with anything. There are 6 other people up on there that voted, and Merlo Construction, whatever they do, Kalo does not pay my bills, that's for sure. That's ridiculous.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Just real quick, in regards to the dust and mud and traffic are taken off from Chubb Road, has anybody driven Napier after a good rain from 6 Mile to 5 Mile? It's like a skating rink. There's at least 2 to 3 inches of slop and slime from that landfill all the way down Napier Road. So it's not, again, it's not just addressed at Chubb Road. I think it's throughout all of that general area. Second of all, that chunk of concrete concerns me extremely, but there's 2 reasons that could have happened, fallen off the truck. One, it was probably loaded, overfilled, and second of all, the driver's driving way too fast. If that truck was even tarped, it would have came through the tarp regardless.
But they're allowed to drive 55 miles.
I'm sorry, hold on.
They're not tarped.
The solution to that is local police, and that's the problem. They're not enforcing those trucks coming in like that. Because, and second of all, the truck was overfilled, it's overweight. Those trucks should be pulled over before anything like that happens.
So what can you do as a
State
township
police.
to have them, get the police out there
We
and
can
the
try
weight
to-
master
we-
and
yeah,
monitor it?
I-
What can you do to help us residents?
We would try to make phone calls to local enforcement and see if they can.
There's
enforce
my
it.
evidence when it kills somebody.
I'm agreeing with you, I'm agreeing with you 100%, that's why I'm talking about it right now, because it concerns me just as much as it does
Calm down, we won't be
anybody
throwing
else.
you out of here.
But that's the lack of enforcement, because that truck should never have gotten to that point.
Hey, Gary.
And the money they can make on pulling those trucks over, you can pave any road.
We've got drywall, we've got pictures of garbage that's on there, and it goes for 2 and 3 miles up and down the
And
road.
that's landfill issues, and we don't know if that chunk of concrete was going to landfill or Kalen. But regardless, it should never
Calm
came up.
down, we want Winsley throwing you out of here.
And I agree with you, but local enforcement, whether it's the state police, I know Northville's got a waymaster, they used to sit right at Sexton and.
But the dump is on your side. What are you guys doing to help us?
I'm telling you, those are some of the things that we could try to help to enforce.
You know, you approve these things to go on, and I'm not saying you approve it to fall off, I'm saying it's the trucking companies that's bringing it in, it's the garbage dump, it's Kalo, and
those
Salem's gonna be
uses-
held responsible eventually.
There's been
We're gonna pay for it.
There's been trucking companies on Chubb Road for many, many years before Keel even came into the picture. Before my father even owned that property, if he even knew that. And unfortunately, he lost it because people who didn't pay the bills didn't pay him, and he had to shut down, and the bank owned the property, and in turn, Keel bought it from the bank. Okay, so I had nothing to do with Keel, if anybody's questioning that.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
hey, didn't, Ms. Merlo just say that that was okayed, or Kalo was okayed without the planning commission? Didn't she just make that statement? That, huh? Kalo was okay, the crushing was okayed without the planning commission.
What's that got to do with?
Well, I'm just asking you a question.
Personally, I have no idea. I had no control over that.
Did you just say that?
But they did come back to the planning
It
commission.
did go back to the.
It was already, it was already a done deal then,
No, I'm saying they came
Mr.
back.
Muirhead, it was done administratively when it should.
without the planning
when it
commission, that's what you
should have
said.
been, But then what happened is it went through the proper process.
After it was a done deal, that's all I wanna know.
Yeah, but it wouldn't
Hey,
make
Gary,
any difference
I've
because
been-
they're
I've been
allowed to be
attending-
there, Mr. Muirhead.
Yeah.
That's what you're not
Yeah,
listening to.
I've been attending town hall meetings a lot longer mostly than any of you people been here, okay?
Appreciate that.
Why has there never been a dust problem like this prior to Kalo? Go back through the records.
It's obvious that the times are, the construction that's out there now is obviously greater than it was before.
You never heard of
Okay.
a dust problem before until Kalo got in.
All right, let's, Mr. Chen, go ahead. 2 minutes.
I won't even take, if I'm not interrupted, I won't take two. Nonpartisan statement. First off, truth and whatever, yes, I'm a precinct 1 delegate for the Republican Party. I'm with Washtenaw County Republican Party. So that's the truth in it, of me. This is a form that you can get from Mr. Wensley's office, or you can get it online, or I have 10 of them right here. This form is write-in candidate declaration of intent. I am here to advocate that those of you who are not precinct delegates, who have never considered, or maybe perhaps at one point considered it, and would like to have, notice how I'm directing some of this pressure over here, would like to have some impact on things like, oh, the road commission maybe, or your county commissioners, just as a couple of ideas. If you're involved in the county parties, there are 2 Democrats. Therefore, I am nonpartisan. I'm advocating for a Democrat precinct delegates. If you want to manage your government, get your butts into it. And this is the form you need. I've got 10 of them. Be glad to give them to anybody. I can make more. Reminds me of R.O. Guthrie. I'm not tired. I've been talking for 18 minutes.
There you go,
But here, if you want them, I've got them. Get involved, become precinct delegates, have something to do with your government rather than just complaining at your government. They're here if you want them. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Supervisor.
Thank you, folks. Okay, in closing tonight, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I am not a liar, and I appreciate a lot of you people who have supported me at this township. The issues that are before us right now are not new issues. The USD, the Urban Services District, the landfill, and our industrial area has been issues in this town for many years. And again, if you're saying Gary Whitaker is Salem Township Supervisor, all I've ever tried to do with this community is try to help people, whether you want to believe it or not. Now, you can say all you want about it, but honestly, from my heart, we have tried, and I believe this board has tried too. Moving forward, though, it means that our community needs to come together. And it doesn't matter if you like me or not, or anybody else up on the board, that's not it. And I think it's very good that we have a discussion like this that we can open up. It's not healthy when people explode like we've seen here tonight. And that's unfortunate because nothing gets done that way. And I think as a community, it's great to have this opportunity to talk. And a lot of townships don't even allow that. I've been to some where you get a couple minutes, when the public stops, we don't allow the discussion. And I think it's important to all of us. It's not like, I don't believe any person on this board has an attitude of not caring. I think they all care. It's horrible of the issues that are going down there, and we got to figure something out. And and again, but there is a proper way of doing it, and we are trying our best. And I do appreciate your support. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Stay around. There's refreshments here, and have a great evening. Thank you.